watching studio films. My parents would drop me off at the Cineplex, and I would go. It was like daycare. They would literally drop me off at noon, and I would see 3 movies in a row at the end of the day. The most embarrassing part of that, actually, is that I paid for all 3 movies. I bought tickets for all of them. I'm not Tarantino. I'm not cool. But around 15, I started seeing films that were coming out of Sundance. My father bought a Laserdisc machine. He bought the first Laserdisc machine, where you press a button and the tray wouldn't even come out. It would just kind of like pop out a little, and you'd have to actually drag the tray out of the Laserdisc. You don't even know what Laserdiscs are anymore. You literally, yeah? How many people don't know what a Laserdisc is here? Yeah. Wow. It was a giant disc, and it had movies on it, but for some reason, it was 4 times the size of a DVD, and you would have to switch the side because there wasn't enough space for the information. It was an analog digital disc. Anyway, he would just buy every Laserdisc that came out, which was a horrible investment because they're completely obsolete now, and they rock. It's great. He has this wall of movies that are unwatchable. But that was my introduction to independent cinema. And I basically always thought that independent films were unwatchable French films. And I started seeing these films that came out of Sundance. The first one I saw was Slacker, Richard Linklater. Then I saw Bottle Rocket, Wes Anderson's film. I saw Clerks, Kevin Smith's film. And that changed my life. I just didn't know that could be a movie. I mean, a movie like Clerks is like, 16mm black and white, camera didn't move, just people talking, people being funny. And they were real. They were unlike anyone I'd ever seen in a movie before. And I just fell in love with it. And that was the first moment where I said, you know what, I could actually see myself doing this. I can't see myself making the studio movies that I've grown up watching, but looking at these independent films, I think I could do that. I read a great book. Anyone who's interested in being a filmmaker here, Rob Rodriguez's book, Rebel Without a Crew, is the only textbook you should ever read. I apologize to cinema teachers. But it's great. I mean, this is how influential that book is. I mean, it's basically a rah-rah book that says you can go out and make a movie. It's so good that me, Jason Reitman, son of famous filmmaker, grew up in Beverly Hills. It was still the book that made me want to go make movies. It's a wonderful story. And anyway, you should go read that. And I thought, I'm going to try to make a short film. I looked at Sundance as this wonderful democratic process with which I could kind of be judged like anyone else. While a lot of people are looking at the film festival system as a way of escaping anonymity, oddly, I was looking for anonymity. I thought, okay, this is a place where people will view my work, and if it's good, they'll play it. If it's bad, it won't play. If it's really good, maybe it'll win an award. And people will give me as a director on my own terms. So I made my first short film. It was called Operation. It was a comedy about kidney stealing, which I thought was a really original idea at the time, until I got to Sundance and realized that I was just another guy with a dark comedy. There was tons of really kind of morose comedy out there. And it hit me while I was there that if I really want to do something different, I should do something with fun. That there were plenty of short films about, horrible things like, child molestation and spousal abuse. I mean, there's plenty. If you're into child molestation and spousal abuse, hit up short films. It's like a candy shop for you. But there wasn't a lot of porn films out there. And so I wrote a short film called In God We Trust, which ended up playing around the world, including the Toronto Film Festival, which doesn't normally accept American shorts, and they accepted it. And that changed my life. That is what got me my agent. That's what got me starting to direct commercials. And it got me my meeting on Thank You for Smoking. Thank You for Smoking was a book that I read. How many of you actually read the book Thank You for Smoking? Anybody? Oh, God. How many of you seen the movie Thank You for Smoking? You don't have to lie. Oh, wow. All right, cool. If you like the movie, you owe it to yourself to... Am I going to echo right here? Talk here to be a little different. You owe it to yourself to read the book. The book is so funny. And if you love all that Mod Squad stuff, there's like 10 times as much in the book. You really, I mean, I won't be let down. So I read this book in high school. A woman, oddly enough, who later went to jail for embezzlement, gave me better than that. Does any of you know about the Drexel scandal? The junk bonds, Mike Milken in the 80s. Anyway, a lot of guys went to jail. The youngest of them, who was really sharp and made a lot of dirty money, did so. She was his assistant and embezzled money from him, and then she went to jail. She gave me the book, Thank You for Smoking. And she said to me, Jason, this was written for you, and she was absolutely right. I read the first line of the book, and it was just, it had me at hello. I mean, it was love at first sight. I just loved this book. And I remember the first thing, my agent, when I got an agent after Sundance, was I said, what kind of movies do you want to make? And I said, I want to make Thank You for Smoking. He thought I was going to respond with, a genre. And I said, no, I want to make this film. This is who I am as a filmmaker. I need to make this movie. And he looked into it and he said, this is going to be tough. It's owned by Mel Gibson. Which is now very funny.